Hi there, welcome to another chaotic classroom clip. This clip is aimed at grade 12 learners who are studying the CAPS syllabus. And in this video, we are going to talk about how you're going to differentiate between questions on the eye. The two types of questions that people confuse most of the time when it comes to the eye is the one on pupillary mechanism and the other one is on accommodation. So first let's talk about the differences. The pupillary mechanism involves the pupil. Now remember, the pupil is the tiny little black dot in your eye, the colored part that is the iris. And what I want you to think is of pupil and light. So can you see how on the screen it's got that little L in common? So pupil, we're thinking light. But accommodation, that involves the lens. It's about how the lens changes shape to allow for distant vision or for close vision. Which is why when you talk about accommodation, that D for accommodation, I want you to think distance. So let's do some examples. And all we're going to do now is we're going to try and focus on whether it's light or distance. Is it the pupillary mechanism or accommodation? Our first example comes from paper 1 in November 2021. It was a multiple choice question. And in this question they're saying, the ability of the lens to change its shape when viewing an object that is near or far is called, now remember, near or far, that is about distance, which means we're looking for that D in accommodation. Now in this question 2.2, they said, describe how the muscles in part A function to increase the amount of light entering the eye. And it's for 3 marks, which means if you try to identify the wrong thing, you're going to be losing 3 marks. Now, since we're talking about amount of light, we should be thinking pupil. So now you're going to talk about how the circular and the radial muscles of the iris is actually doing their job. Our next question comes from paper 1, November 2018, and it's also a multiple choice question. Now in this one, we're going to have a look at some of the functions first so we can eliminate them properly. Now they're talking about the function of the iris of the eye. So let's see which one of these fits. A says refract the light to form a clear image. Now refracting the light, that is a lens function. Number C is about converting the light into impulses. That is the retina. So that will be the rods and cones of the retina. And prevent reflection of light within the eye. That is the function of the choroid. Because the iris is the one that changes the size of the pupil and is therefore the one that's going to control the amount of light into the eye. Our next question is from paper 1 in November 2020. Which part controls the amount of light entering the eye? Now remember, the light is going through the pupil, and the pupil is being controlled by the iris. Our last question comes from paper 1 in November 2017. And this one's they're asking, which one of the following occurs when you look up from reading a book on a clear sunny day to focus on a mountain more than 100 meters away? Now it's a very nice story, but there's a lot of irrelevant information here. The most important part is the fact that it's 100 meters, so it's about distance. So let's have a look at our options. The radial muscles of the iris contracting, nope, that's about light, so that's the pupillary mechanism. The pupil becomes dilated, still pupillary mechanism. Ciliary muscles relax, that might be an option. Or the lens becoming more convex. Now this one's a problem because the lens should actually become less convex when you're looking at the distance. So number D is not an option. So C it is. I hope this helps. Thank you for visiting the Chaotic Classroom.